Hello viewers, today you join me at an interesting time. I'm going to show you how to use Ventoy, an open source piece of software which allows you to install multiple operating systems from a single USB thumb drive. So Ventoy is open source, and what it allows you to do is to create a bootable USB drive, and you can then put the ISOs for installing different operating systems onto that single drive. So the main advantage of using Ventoy is that it allows you to just use a single USB drive, and then you can put the ISOs for all the operating systems that you're interested in installing onto that drive. And when you boot off that drive, you get a menu and you can pick the operating system that you want to install. Ventoy is absolutely ideal for home lab use because it allows you to reduce the number of USB drives that you need, possibly down to just a single one for doing your installations. By allowing you to just use a single USB drive, not only does it save time, it also saves money because storage is currently rather expensive. So let's get started. The first thing we need to do is to download the Ventoy application. And if you search in your favourite search engine for Ventoy, you'll find the ventoy.net website, and I have this open already in a browser in Chrome. Then you need to navigate to the downloads page, and you need to download the appropriate installer for your operating system. I'm demonstrating this on Windows 11 because I want to install Linux onto the second drive in my mini PC. When you click the download link to download the installer, it will open the SoundForge page, and then you'll be able to download the installer. You might have to agree to a few things first, like cookies, for example. I've already downloaded it. I'm now going to show you how to check the SHA-256 hash, which they recommend you do and which is good practice when you're downloading these types of installers. I have the Windows File Explorer already open in my Downloads folder. The first thing I'm going to do is to open PowerShell, and I do that by right-clicking. And by the way, I'm looking at this on top screen, that's why I keep looking up. I right-click and I'm going to open Terminal. And we have an error message, and I'm going to show you how to fix that because you may well get the same message. This is an execution policy issue in Windows 11, and it's simply because on a client PC, so on my mini PC for example, the security settings for PowerShell by default are set to restricted. I'm going to show you how you can see what they are next. At the moment I'm not running PowerShell as administrator, and I need to do that before I proceed. And the way you do that is you click that button here, or click drop down, and then it will tell you you need to hold down Control and click it. So let's do that, and then we go yes. We get the same error which we expect. Now what we need to do is to run the get execution policy to see what the execution policy is. Now we need to run the command get execution policy to see what the policy is. And you can see it's restricted, and that's why it's not working. What I need to do to get this so it works without this error is to change the execution policy, and what I want is remote signed. The command I need to run is on screen. What it will do is to change the execution policy to remote signed with the scope local machine. This is the policy you would have by default if you were running Windows Server. Now if I run get execution policy again to check, you'll see the change. If you're ultra cautious, you can put it back afterwards, but I find this is optimal for home lab use. I've shut the PowerShell windows, and I'm going to reopen it, and this time with a bit of luck we won't get the error, and then we can do what we actually were planning to do in the first place. The command's on the screen now. Get file hash, that's obvious what that's doing, and then we have the algorithm for the file hash, which we specify as SHA-256, and then we need to pass the path of the file. The // tells it it's in this folder, and then we just need the file name and extension. And if I press return, that should work. I'm now going to double click on it, and I'm going to go Control-C to copy. I'm going to open a Notepad instance, text document. It'll do it on desktop. Now I'm going to open that, and I'm going to go Control-V to paste. Let's go back to Chrome and copy paste what it should be. And they should match. They do match. Except for some reason, PowerShell's brought it back in uppercase. Now I'm going to extract the zip archive, and then we can install it. I'm going to install the 64-bit version because I'm on 64-bit Windows, and with 2026 I don't see the point of 32-bit anymore. That means we need to go into the Alt-X, and then we need to install the appropriate one, which is, for my machine, not ARM. So it has to be x64. The next thing I need to do is plug in the USB thumb drive. There's the thumb drive. This needs to go into the mini PC. With a bit of luck, that will slot in. That's in. I've now inserted the USB drive into my mini PC, and I can now actually run the application. I simply need to double click on this. I double clicked on the Ventoy application, and I now have to agree to things. You can see it found the thumb drive. We can just go install. So we agreed to a few more things, and it's installing now. I already have the Windows installer for Windows 11 downloaded. I'm now going to get the Ubuntu one, and I'm going to switch back to Chrome. I'm now on the Ubuntu website, and I'm looking at flavors, and the flavor I'm actually going to download for this I haven't tried before, but it's called KU Ubuntu, and it's designed for people who do music and photo editing and video editing, and I think that's precisely what I want for my kind of use cases. So I'm going to download Ubuntu. Ubuntu has finally downloaded, and I'm going to now copy the two ISOs. So I'm going to Control click, and I'm going to drag them onto the Ventoy drive, and they should copy across. And then I'm going to reconfigure my cameras and restart my computer in the BIOS, and then we're going to go from there. Right, I'm back. I'm now recording the screen with my phone, and the next thing I'm going to do is to just show you how you would download Debian. So I need to switch keyboards. If you click the download button, that's just going to download a small installer which is designed to be run off Windows. That's not what we need here. So what I've done is to go through the links, so other downloads. So you can see here you can download the complete installer, which is about 7 gigabytes. So I've downloaded the full installer and moved it over to the USB drive. In Ventoy USB Drive we now have 3 disk images. So if you restart Windows and spam the delete key or the F2 function 2 key, you may be able to enter the BIOS that way. But if Windows is set up to fast boot, you probably won't be able to do it that way. To restart, I'm using the keyboard shortcut Windows key X, and then I'm going to go U for shutdown, and then I'm going to go restart, and at this point I'm going to hold down the shift key. and hit return at the same time. So I'm holding down Shift key and now I'm pressing return, and we're going to restart. After the restart, we have a blue screen, which I find slightly scary, but you can relax. It's not a blue screen of death. It's just a blue screen with some icons on that you can click on. So the one I need to click is the user device, because we want to restart from the thumb drive. So I'm going to click that. Then I need to choose the UEFI removable device, and off we go. So you can see that we now have the list of things that we could install. What I'm going to do is to use the arrow keys to go down to the K Ubuntu, and I'm going to press enter. What I'm going to do now is to boot in normal mode, and then to show that it works, I'm going to actually load K Ubuntu off the thumb drive. I'm not going to install it, but you can actually run it off a USB drive for evaluation purposes. So that's what we're going to do now. Now we have a list of options, and the one I want is try or install. So I'm now going to go try, because I don't want to install it right now. I am actually planning to install this, but I'm going to do that in a separate video, because there's a trick if you have two SSDs in your machine that allows you to dual boot, so that you have Windows on, let's call it C, so that's the first SSD, and Linux on, or specifically Ubuntu, or one of the flavors of it, on D. And this trick allows you to put Grub, the Linux boot manager, onto D. Windows then is completely unaffected on C, and then in your BIOS you can either select to boot from D, in which case you'll get a menu and you can select either to boot into Windows or boot into Ubuntu, or you can in the BIOS just put it so it automatically comes up in Windows. So that gives you quite a lot of control. It also means when you update Windows, it's not going to affect the Linux installation and vice versa. So it's quite a good way of having a dual boot system. Right, let's try K Ubuntu just to prove that it works. So there we have it. It works. It's hard to overstate just how useful Ventoy is. It saves you time, because once you've set it up, it doesn't take very long to download and copy the ISOs onto your USB drive, and it saves you money because you only need one USB drive. In the spring of 2026, with storage prices sky high, the ability to use just a single USB drive to install all of your operating systems is fantastic. Thank you for watching. I hope you found my video useful. If you did, please click on the like and subscribe buttons. Have a fantastic day.